Howdy partners, Jerk here, and today on the Big Shoe, we have Kraken 173 in the gearing R, and I'm going to call it that because I'd be really surprised if there are no changes between this version and the final released one. But first, look at this Chonky boy. So chonky, so cute. Longtime viewers may know that my most played destroyer is the Fletcher with over 2 million Elite XP under its belt. So it stands to reason to do a little comparison between Fletcher and the Gearing R. They're pretty similar in playstyle, both pretty agile, but not the fastest, not the slowest either, but lots of rapid firing guns. Here's my commander, and you know, this might be the spot in the line where I mix it up. I think I might need to put on a destroyer dispersion inspiration, as you'll see. These shells tend to go wherever they want, and speaking of the shells, these aren't the same as the Fletchers. They're more like the original Fletcher shells. And for newer players, a while ago, Wargaming buffed the Fletcher to have lower arcs and more velocity on its shells, which was a huge boon to its accuracy and also its AP penetration. And the AP on the Gearing R doesn't seem to have as much penetration as the Fletcher either, but we'll see some of that later. The primary difference, aside from its chonk, are those 16.5 kilometer torpedoes, and you may have noticed I just turned and fired them into a well-trafficked area at the very beginning of the match. I've been doing that a lot, and it's a pretty successful tactic. And the benefit of that is by the time I get to where I'm going, they should be about to be reloaded. On to the match. We're back on Tears of the Desert, which we last saw in the Atlanta Kraken video, and how fitting, because we're back on it with an Atlanta cut in half. Oh look, those torpedoes from the beginning just hit something. That's why you do it. So I left my spawn at B to come down and assist in the cap of A, as after a long day of legendary tier games, I've learned most teams won't move forward if there's not a destroyer in front of them. And that's not even true. Most teams won't move forward even if there is a destroyer in front of them. But at least with a destroyer, there is a chance they will move forward. My torpedoes are about reloaded, and we know one of the enemy gearings is on the cap, so this may give me the opportunity for a double strike. So we'll just line these up. I don't think I've ever even been spotted, so they have no idea that I'm here because I didn't get on the cap until after the Wichita. So this could be a big surprise. Excuse me, goddamn Wichita. God, they're just in the way of everything. And there you go. There is the red gearing. So I'm going to go out there and gun him down. And let's see how long this actually takes.
Enemy battleships sunk.
So did you see that weird dispersion? Some of those shells were just going into the water. And I don't know if that's because they have some dispersion buff or if these shells are just that unreliable. But from that range, I would expect them all to hit. But also, what is up with that gearing player? They never shot at me once that entire time. And I really have to wonder, is this what Wargaming was imagining at Legendary Tier? It's so painfully obvious with this rental system that there are tons of people playing these rental ships that probably don't have anything higher than a New York or maybe a Fubuki. And I wouldn't be saying it if it was a one-time thing. I'm seeing it in every game. You all almost got a Wooster game to see today, but I flubbed the last shot. But in that game, it was chock full of Yamatos firing HE, GKs firing HE. I've seen tons of gearing just not even fire. I had a match yesterday where I had 300 health left in my gearing and gunned down another from full health. Both of us in open water. They didn't even fire their guns until my last salvo. And even then, they shot way short into the water. They've probably never even shot a gun before. Speaking of, here I am just opening fire on this Bismarck, and you can kind of see how floaty these shells are. And that's why I think they're using the original Fletcher shells. You'll also see me switching between AP and HE just because I'm trying to experiment with the penetration and see, you know, which angles work and which ones don't. I do end up switching back to AP once the Bismarck goes complete broadside, but the Fletcher, I feel like I could have gotten this down way faster.
Enemy battleship foundered.
Alright, that's 3. And you may be wondering why I left C without capping. Well, that's because the action is on the other side of the map. If I stayed down there, I'd be out of the game. And though those 2 battleships down there request support, if 2 battleships can't sink one of the red teams, let's just say it's a learning opportunity for those players. So I've got B capped, and I need to sink 2 more ships. So as it stands, I'm going to need to sink their last gearing, and my arch nemesis, that Wichita. I'm thinking for a second about which one I should go for first, but it's not really a debate. I need to do my job and gun down the other destroyer. Maybe I'll get a Kraken after that, but it will at least make sure that we win the game. So I head off to A, but not before depositing a few more fish in the water. So here's the last nugget of knowledge for you. The gearing has thicker armor than the Fletcher. How thick? I don't know, like 19 millimeters or something. You can check it in the armor viewer. But it is thick enough to arm my AP shells. So if you've seen my Akizuki games, or if you have the Akizuki yourself, I will be doing the same thing here. Fire HE until they're broadside, then switch to AP. I do get a really good HE shot there, but watch how the AP shreds them. This gearing does get lucky and knocks 2 of my turrets with HE, or they would have been sunk much sooner.
Main turret critically damaged. The ship is on fire. Main turret critically damaged.
So we come out of that with 16 pins, 4 overpins, and 2 shatters. And again, I can't emphasize enough, if my 2 turrets hadn't been knocked there, that gearing would have been gone in no time. So when you're playing this, you're going to want to experiment with that. I think that the Kaba has thick enough armor for your AP to arm as well, but I haven't run into one. Speaking of running into things, good lord, is this thing like 3 miles deep beneath the water? Look at how I get hung up on there. So yeah, I'll be on the lookout for a Kaba so I can try it out on that too. Of course, the Kaba's guns will also shred you right back if they're using AP. It's almost like the higher tier you go, the more knowledge you need to apply from the previous tiers that came before. Well, except for Legendary. Shout out to this Kagero. They have a good game too, and earlier they were keeping that gearing spotted for me, so bang up job to them. Also, a big shout out for using the Kagero instead of the ship that won't be named. Alright, that's 4, and of course the Wichita's just been waiting for that moment so they can get a fire on me. Double fire. Ugh.
Ship is on fire.
And check that out. The Kagero smokes up for me. But this is the chance. And you know I gotta shoot Wichita. So we're just gonna let fly until this guy goes down. There we go, Kraken 173, and a quick look at the gearing R. We walk out of here with 3,348 XP, and I pocket a nice 211,000 silver, because, you know, I need more of that. Just put it on top of the 250 million silver I currently have. So that's it for this one. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, you can hit like from 16.5 kilometers away. If you prefer your gunboats to not use their guns, hit dislike. Leave a comment or question if you have one, and gaze deeply into the eyes of that subscription button if you haven't already. I'll get back out there for another one, and we'll talk soon.